The Bengals added plenty of key pieces in free agency, but how did they do? Hi again, everybody. I'm James Rapien of allbengals.com and Cincinnati Bengals Talk, and that is the question following a third straight offseason of the Bengals being aggressive in free agency. And it goes without saying, of course, they needed to protect Joe Burrow, hopefully fortify that offensive line. But what we're going to do in this video is look at each deal, give it a grade, and yeah, even the guys that they brought back, the key guys, the Eli Apples, the BJ Hills, guys set to start, Jessie Bates on the franchise tag, we'll grade those deals as well. So hit that subscribe button, ring the bell. We're going to have a ton on the draft. We're slowly pivoting to the draft. And if you're wondering what other free agents the Bengals could sign, well, we already did that video. You should check that out. We did that really shortly after the La'el Collins deal because, well, we know that the Bengals are still on the hunt. But yeah, they are pivoting to the draft and focusing on their 8 draft picks. And we will do the same starting later this week, to be honest with you. But I wanted to kind of cap off the main part of free agency with grades. So let's do that. Let's start with the big fish here, La'el Collins, right? It's the guy that we did 52 videos on, and I wrote about 32 stories on each day for about a week straight. And we were monitoring whether or not he was at Kenwood Mall, a suburb of Cincinnati, for those that don't know, where he was still in town. Was he going to Miami? Was he partying on the beach? What was he doing? And it turns out he was just eating crackers and cupcakes at Joe Burrow's house. La'el Collins is the big fish that the Bengals needed, a guy that's 28 years old, that has Pro Bowl potential, that can fortify that right tackle spot. And as my guy Mike Santagata, who writes for me at allbengals.com, does all of our film breakdowns, he said he's the best right tackle the Bengals have had since Willie Anderson, and I buy that. And you know what else I buy? The contract, because according to overthecap.com, boy, oh boy, 3 years, $21 million, $7 million per year. They stole him. He's the 10th highest paid right tackle in the league. Again, that's according to Over the Cap, but they stole him. This is very much a team-friendly deal. The guy has over $7 million. It's $7.1 million in per game roster bonuses. So when I look at the player, which we've talked about ad nauseum, when I look at the contract, which looks like a steal, and the Bengals didn't even have to trade for him, like so many, including me, wanted them to entertain. Boom! This is an A+. La'el Collins is a stud, and he's arguably right now, and not even arguably, actually, he's the most talented offensive lineman on the Bengals. That doesn't mean Jonah Williams can't surpass him, right, with a breakout year. Hopefully he does. Hopefully they have 2 Pro Bowl tackles. Hopefully Cappa's a Pro Bowler. And I think there is a situation where those 3 could be Pro Bowlers. That would be huge. Hopefully they're not playing in the Pro Bowl, right? Hopefully they're playing in the Super Bowl. But let's go to the next one here, and I just mentioned him, Alex Cappa. Hard not to like this one. And we didn't talk a ton about him during the pre-free agency process or pre-negotiating period process for a few reasons. And the first one was, well, Ryan Jensen was stealing the show. And there was so much smoke around Ryan Jensen and around this Bengals team addressing center. And obviously they did with Ted Karras. But I think this was the best case scenario because I don't think they were going to get Ryan Jensen. I think if he would have hit the market, someone would have went all in for him, 16, 17, 18 million per year, some crazy number that the Bengals, they're not swimming in those waters. And then it would have opened up the door for the Buccaneers to say, all right, Cappa, we drafted you, we developed you, let's keep you. And instead, the Bengals went right after Cappa, 12-01. They were able to get a deal done. And so I like this deal a lot. He's 27. I think he's an ascending player, certainly talented. And the thing I like about him most, it's twofold. One, I think he's going to offer such an upgrade in pass protection. You're talking about a 6'8" dude, weighs around 315. He's added weight and should be entering his peak prime. And that's what you need when you want to protect Joe Burrow. The other reason I like this is because the La'el Collins, Alex Cappa combo on the right side from a run blocking standpoint could be 2 maulers. Could be 2 dudes that get out on the edge and open up holes for Joe Mixon and Chris Evans and, anybody else they want to get the ball to out of the backfield. Maybe Jamar Chase, open up the offense a bit, which, I think that Zach Taylor is going to have the ability to do. So I like this contract overall. It wasn't amazing. So what was it? 4 years, $35 million. There's 4 $1 million Pro Bowl roster or Pro Bowl bonuses if he makes the Pro Bowl in each of those 4 years, or if he makes it in 2, right? So it could be up to a $39 million contract. I like it overall. It was their biggest weakness last year because Riley Reif was okay when he was in there. Right guard was their biggest weakness. You saw, 4 different starters play that spot. I believe it was 4 off the top of my head. I believe it was 4. So I like it a lot. I'm going to give this a B+ because no, he's not the best right guard of the class, but he plugs a need. He's entering his prime. I think he's still ascending. And there's a scenario where he's the second best offensive lineman. If they all play at their peak level, maybe the second best offensive lineman that the Bengals have this year. Maybe he does pass Jonah, right? And that right side could be completely fortified. So B+ there, and easily could give him an A-. I just think he hasn't reached his full potential yet. And you look at the player, and it's not like he's a Pro Bowler. He's not on the Collins level, who hasn't made a Pro Bowl yet either. But I think he's slightly underneath that, and that's why I'm giving it a B+. The next one's Ted Karras. And I like Ted Karras. I love his versatility, and that's part of it. I love that, much like Cappa, they have Super Bowl rings. They block for Tom Brady. I think they're going to be comfortable with a drop back passing attack. All right, Joe, drop 5 steps. We know how to do what we need to do to keep you upright. And Karras isn't perfect, right? But 3 years, $18 million, $11.5 million in the first 2 seasons, 29 years old. I think he'll certainly see the first 2 years, maybe the 3, if he plays at a relatively high level. And so I like this deal a lot. He's not as talented as these other 2 guys, as Cappa or Collins, but it brings stability. And I do think it's an upgrade from Trey Hopkins. And I haven't ruled out the idea of Hopkins coming back, maybe on a league minimum deal after the draft. You never know. So never say never there. But Karras, I like it. Solid B for me. And this all goes into, it's almost grading on a curve, because I was never going to knock a Bengals move that was going to help keep Joe Burrow upright. I wasn't. That was my priority. I had tunnel vision, as you guys know if you've watched, right? And they were able to do that with 3 key pieces that should all be in their prime still, or entering their prime. So huge there. All right, we'll speed up. We'll go a little quicker here. Hayden Hurst, look, former first-round pick, has been a bust. Let's call it what it is. He's been a bust. And he had 1 decent year, has a chip on his shoulder. He said he had multiple chips on his shoulder. This is a perfect low-risk, high-reward type signing. And the high reward's probably 700 yards and 7 touchdowns. But I like the roll of the dice. That being said, am I going to, love the idea of bringing him in? And, I like it, and I like the mindset, and I like the low risk aspect of it. But do I think it's going to completely change the Bengals offense? Probably not. The Bengals are confident in that. I know Zach Taylor's excited. I know Hurst is excited to be here. I'm sure Joe Burrow's excited. To me, I would give this move a C+. And just so you know, if they would have signed CJ Uzomah to the deal that the Jets did, 3 years, $24 million, I would have probably given that move a C. So value-wise, I like it. I think he's a little less versatile than Uzomah, especially as a run blocker. But I think the Bengals are going to throw it all over the field. I think there's a reason they got these drop-back passing interior linemen that worked with Tom Brady for years. And then Collins fell into their lap, and they were able to get him done. And he might be a better run blocker than pass blocker, but he can obviously anchor, and he's a great pass blocker as well. So overall, I like it, but it's just slightly above average. If C's average, slightly above average. But considering the market for tight ends, not bad versus overpaying for someone else. And it certainly gives you a chance to address that position in the draft as well, which we can talk about. The other big signings, B.J. Hill, I thought, especially after Ogunjobi got poached by the Bears, and I know he's out there, and who knows, maybe he comes back eventually. I don't think it's going to be anytime soon. It would probably be a post-draft addition, especially since he failed his physical, and that's why his deal with the Bears didn't get done. But I like the B.J. Hill signing, and the fact that they turned Billy Price into a guy that's going to be here potentially for the next 4 years and help fortify that defensive line is huge. And so for me, Hill, this is a B+ signing. They had to pay $15 million in the first year. They had to throw up some cash to get him, but should be entering his prime, played well last year, and it'll be interesting to see how they use him this year, maybe more in that pass rush role to fill in the creases if they don't go after another 3-tech, but I think they're on the hunt for another 3-tech. Other ones here, and I'm saving Jessie Bates. The other one is Eli Apple on our list. This is a C for me. not amazing, not bad. 1 year, $4 million. I'm not going to argue that one bit for a guy like Eli Apple. I don't like the tweets. I think my God, it's not what you want necessarily, but understand that at 1 year, $4 million, he's a starter, was certainly worth the contract you gave him last year. You bring him back, I'm fine with it. Now, if they would have brought him back 2 years, $10 million or $15 million and gave him the bag, as they say, wouldn't have liked that because I don't think he earned that. His play on the field certainly did to a degree, but you bring him back, you feel good about your secondary, and you also keep the draft open for a potential corner. And then the last one, Jessie Bates. This is tough. It's tough because I get why they franchise tagged him, and the safety market's down, and that's why, and I'm going to have more on this, does David Mulligetta, Jessie Bates' agent, does he say, all right, we do need to pivot a little bit after the safety market being down? Marcus Williams got $14 million per year. Tyrann Mathieu still out there. Or are they still asking for huge money, huge guarantees? Because if so, the Bengals just aren't doing it. They aren't doing it. And Jessie Bates is coming off of his worst regular season of his career. So it's not like he has a ton of leverage. So the Bengals franchise tagged him. We'll see. I'll have more on that. But as far as the tag goes, I think it's an A because you don't want to let him walk. Of course, right? So the move is an A. It stinks to not get the deal done. But if the deal isn't getting done because, the asking price is just insane and Burrow's coming up and there's Higgins. And again, I'm going to have thoughts on all this stuff because there's a lot of repercussions from across the NFL and how it impacts the Bengals' future with all these contracts that have been handed out over the past few weeks and months. But as far as Jessie Bates is concerned, A, for keeping him. There is concern about keeping him long-term, though. And I don't know if the Bengals are really realistically going to be able to get a deal done, considering the other focuses they're going to have at positions that might have more impact than safety. Von Bell also set to become a free agent next offseason. Bates, officially a contract year. Will he play it out? Will he not? We will dive into more on that. But my overall grade for them, after all these, and I just gave you every player grade in each individual one, couple C's in there, an A, B+. I think fortifying the line is such a huge step in the right direction. And so it's impossible, in my eyes, not to give them an A. And the Bengals deserve an A for this. Now, does that mean I loved every signing? Or, would you rather have this guy over this guy? Maybe. But they got guys in their prime, 29 years old, 28 years old, 27 years old, that should be able to keep Joe Burrow upright for the foreseeable future. And yeah, they still have a question mark at left guard. We'll see how they address that. Wouldn't be shocked if they address it with a veteran or, that could potentially compete with Jackson Carman, compete with other guy, a Quentin Spain type that could compete with Deontay Smith as well for that left guard position. But overall, I think they've done a hell of a job. And if the number one idea was protecting Joe Burrow, they took 3 huge strides to doing that, 3 huge steps. I like the upside of the Hayden Hurst signing, like that they brought back B.J. Hill, Eli Apple, and there's other guys that they brought back as well. Bates is playing on the tag, but Brandon Allen's back. Guys like that you don't, at least I didn't hate the idea of bringing Brandon Allen back on a 1-year deal. So overall, like what they've done. We'll see if they do anything else. But my overall free agency grade for the Cincinnati Bengals up to this point, it's an A. And a solid A. I think they deserve it. Could it go up with a couple other additions that are out there? Maybe. Could it go down if, things spiral and they could get someone and then it goes out? I don't know. I think it's pretty solidified there at an A. So we'll have more on the Bengals. We're going to start to pivot here to the draft. So what you need to do is ring the bell, hit that subscribe button, and until next time, for Andrew Fox Miller, our channel coordinator, I'm James Rapien, signing off for now right here on Cincinnati Bengals Talk.